Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. I don't know why that one was so dramatic, but just take it for what it is. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. There's a lot to talk about. As always, surprise, right? It's almost like we're always talking about a lot of stuff here. We made it. Yay, jazz hands. July, for those of you who might have missed any of a couple of other videos, it's understandable. I get it. Daily's a lot. However, around February, the first 2 months, there were a lot of analysts who were quite adamant that, remember, it was April, May, and June. April, May, and June would be pivotal, exceptional, incredulously phantasmagorical months for the cryptocurrency space. More or less. I mean, we didn't like completely crash. Bitcoin stayed above 100,000 for like a bit after the dip. We got a lot of legislation passed and, you know, things, thumbs up in some sort of form or fashion. However, for some reason, around May, we began to hear, and I've reiterated this multiple times just because of like, okay, well, do it. Every analyst said, July is meant to be the month where things begin. As I've stated before in other videos, forgive me if at any point I am skeptical in some way or fashion. If you're not skeptical, at least like a smidge of everything, then, you know, I'm really paying attention to what's happening in the world. But that's why I said we made it. We're here. We're in July. Another very gigantic cherry on top of all of this has to do with November, December, January once again. For a refresher, this back then in the olden days of like 5.5 months ago, we saw an enormous amount of ETF applications in the US of A to the US SEC. These are now coming due. So July, as far as I've interpreted it, is meant to be the month where like the blockchain hits the fan. The SEC has thus far told us, similar to their old fashionable ways, they always give like a, you know, they have a certain time frame to be able to say yay or nay to the ETF applications. All of them have been thus far maybes or we need more time, like that kind of thing where they basically review the 60 pages over again because I can only assume there's only one person working in the office. That's just the way that the SEC feels. But again, July is meant to be the time frame. Not even segueing, pushing into this discussion as well, has been the idea of companies buying Bitcoin. You must have heard it at some point, because since March, somewhere around there, we have heard around 35 to 40 different companies. That's the number that I keep seeing. The real number is apparently a lot higher. An analytical platform stated 2 weeks ago or something that they believe that there are anywhere between 120 and 140 companies in general who've just been buying and buying and buying and buying. That also includes like the Teslas and the other companies who we heard from years ago say, hey, we're buying, but since then have not been in the Metaplanet MicroStrategy accumulation level kind of news. A good fragment, I dare say 99% of that news has revolved around Bitcoin. It's the number one coin. We can't sit here and be like, what? They're choosing the number one. Of course, they're going to be aiming for that one. But I said this before in another video, and I go over news daily. Every 24 hours, I scour the interwebs, finding the news of the day. What's really weird is that I didn't hear of 95% of what I'm about to tell you. I remember one of them, but the other ones, no. So I'm going to lightly refrain from tinfoil hatting here. But it's definitely kind of weird that the other stuff was heavily reported and this one simply was not. So, on top of all the other companies who were announcing that they were making Bitcoin purchases, we had one company who said that they were also going to be accumulating Ether. I believe 2 months ago, there was one who said Solana. There was one who said, one who said Dogecoin, but it's also Dogecoin. So it's like, oh, wow, that's super cool. And we had one company announcing XRP. The XRP ties in, I don't know what this is, ties into the ETF news because we had speculation that once apparently it's done. Once the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit was completely done, which apparently it is. From a couple of days ago, we heard from Garling House that they're both not trying to cross-examine or whatever's happening in the metaverse right now, and that it's basically done. And then the speculation are that, what's their face? BlackRock. That BlackRock at some point was going to mosey in and also announce that they were also going to be creating an XRP ETF. So, we had one company announce before that they were going to be creating an XRP treasury, an XRP reserve, whichever word you want to call it. The weird part is, apparently the number is 8. Apparently there are 8 companies doing this. I know, yeah, we're surprised, right? Because we only heard about one and then 9,000 other companies doing it for Bitcoin. This appears to be because in July, I don't know why I'm doing this. In July, we are expected to have at least one XRP ETF pushed through and not a futures. People keep doing, we have futures. Futures, no. We want spot. We want these companies are buying XRP. They're holding XRP, not a number on the screen that says XRP next to it that's denominated in US dollars. We want this company is buying it and they're having it for their ETF because essentially it would be incredibly amazing for the price. Apparently there are 8 companies. This was found out by an analytical company who was looking around and kind of compiled the information. Yeah, the 8 companies are called Trident, Vivo Power, Wellgistics, Weebus International, Hyperscale, Worksport, BC Bud, and Digital, I assume, Communications. They are collectively trying to accumulate over $1 billion US worth of XRP. It's kind of crazy. So, last thought in that section. Remember I told you before that there's a lot, I don't want to say hidden from us. That sounds very like dastardly. It's just more of a lot of times we keep hearing about like public companies who are doing things. And even in this case, these are also public companies who we didn't hear about. I feel like there's so much actual buying that we are just not privy to because they don't want that information actually being out there. And I think this is a huge portion of one of them. I wonder how many other companies are out there buying Solana, are out there buying Ethereum, but just like no one knows what's actually taking place. So yeah, I assume we're going to hear more companies who are doing the exact same thing. There are a lot of chips on the table from companies and institutions who want to make sure that they are chipping the right coins, just because, as I stated before, only a few coins are going to actually make it. It's not me making some divine premonition. We're not going to have 30,000 coins that are going to make it. we're probably going to have between 10 to 15. And even 15 is like a struggle. We have certain coins that are constantly being spoken about. And I mean, if you want a purer form of logic, the coins that were announced that the United States was going to be accumulating. This is why I think we keep hearing about these coins in this direction over and over and over. Yeah, they're trying to raise, or they're going to be accumulating $1 billion worth of XRP. I can only logically assume that number is going to also go even higher once, I say once, we have one or multiple XRP ETFs. This US SEC, they're still touted as being very crypto friendly and crypto loving, and they just enjoy the space so much. And it's like, cool. As we stated months ago, let's see exactly how cool and awesome they are. The last number we got, I think there were 17 or 19. One of them sounds familiar. 17 different XRP ETF applications. And I think in total, we had 50 or 60 cryptocurrency ETF applications as well. So I still think myself we're probably going to see a good 50% of them launching. A lot of them were for meme coins. If the SEC does start launching meme coin ETFs, we'd better have the best altcoin season of our entire lives. Like nothing else will compare to the one that we're going to have. We'll see. July's meant to, the time frame, we're here. As the days roll on, let's see if we get some good news, because, I think the market could use it. I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you have all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting the channel. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.